Here's a quick example of how to use bulk action. Go ahead and drag in our first component. I'll drag in our table and choose a data source, which is going to be Flying Squirrel for this example. This is a Postgres database. And then I will choose a function. Go ahead and use the list scooters function. This displays all of our scooter information coming from our Postgres database. And then I'm going to scroll down and check this box that says allow selecting multiple rows. So you'll notice that on the left-hand side, there are now checkboxes appearing here. Next, we'll drag in a Flexbox here, which will contain a couple components. The Flexbox is really nice, especially if you want to create a nice layout with multiple different types of components. And then we'll go ahead and add in a couple components here by clicking on the plus icon. First component will be the input box. This input box will be used to enter in a new model number that we're going to change a bunch of scooters to. So I'll just specify enter model number. That's it. Let's go back up to the Flexbox, add another component. This time I will add the bulk action component. And I will choose a data source for the bulk action. So what is it really changing? So I'm going to point it to my Postgres database, and I will use the update scooters function. So again, this button will essentially bulk update a bunch of scooters records. Now, next I will choose a source. So I can either specify that we're going to do bulk updates based off of a file that I upload, a CSV file. So this would allow a user to upload a CSV and essentially update or insert a bunch of records using that data. Or I can use a binding, in which case I can use a table like this with checkboxes. And the user will be able to check as many rows as they want, and that will be used for the bulk update. So we'll go ahead and point it to the scooters table for this example and just specify selected rows. If I say all rows, that will essentially complete the bulk action for all rows in the table. But most of the time, you probably want to just choose the selected rows. Next, let's change the button name real quick to say bulk update. And then we will choose fields for this particular action. So we have ID in there already to identify the record that's being changed, and then we'll put in model number. So for the ID, what we're going to do is grab the ID and specify that we're going to use this repeated items data and use the ID. What this is basically saying is that we're going to iterate through all of the rows that are checked to complete this operation. And then we're going to pull in each row's ID. Now for model number, we'll go ahead and set a value from a component, but this time around, we're not going to just pull in the existing model number for each row. What we're going to do is pull in the model number that the user enters up here on the top left. So we'll point it at this Flexbox and its input component and its value. And that's it. One last thing I'll do is create an effect here for this bulk update action so that when the user submits, we'll refresh a component, and we're going to refresh the scooters table at the bottom. Okay, so last thing, let me go and come into this bulk update Flexbox and adjust the design briefly, add some medium padding. And then we're all set. So let's go ahead and publish this. So now I can go ahead and choose several scooters here. And then let's enter in a new model number that I want to switch them to. And I will click bulk update. This will give me a preview of what's going to be changed. And then I'll go ahead and submit this. And then I see that everything was updated correctly. You also see some a red line with errors if any of these rows failed to complete. We'll go ahead and complete. And you'll see that all the scooters that I selected are now changed to the Model 3. And that's it.